Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me again. Today's video is gonna be about Oscar Wilde and his most famous novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray. And yes, I know I owe you all an explanation as I've been away for quite some while. I didn't post for like months, and that is because reason number one, I was very busy. I was very caught up in everything around me. I had classes and stuff going on and I couldn't make the time to read. Reason number two, I have another YouTube channel that I'm comparatively more active on. It's a tarot channel, so if you're into tarot or anything like that, or even into like celebrity gossip or something like that, you sure want to check that out. I'll just link it down in the description and in the pinned comments. You can just find it out there and you can go and subscribe. I'm waiting. Pause the video, go and subscribe. It literally takes 10 seconds. Yeah. Okay, assuming you all have subscribed by now, let's get started. So this book by Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde is more of a poet, and he writes short plays rather than novels. And Picture of Dorian Gray was obviously an exception. He wrote it in 1890, I guess. It's obviously a classic novel and it's one of the most famous classics, I guess, and it's the easiest you can start with. I was trying to read classic novels, I was trying to get into classic literature. I bought this set of Jane Austen novels and I tried reading them. I literally did a lot of times, and a lot of different of these novels, but it was very difficult considering I read these kinds of books right here, all this book talk stuff, and I was so used to it that fast-paced books. The slowest book that I read out of these was this Paulo Coelho book. This was the slowest for me, and this is this thin. It's not even that difficult to get through it. So yeah, obviously, so I was obviously not fit for reading Jane Austen at that point. However, most of the people say that when you're starting out reading classics, Jane Austen is one of the people you should start out with. I personally didn't feel so for myself. Her language was very boring for me, to put it candidly, and I will obviously get back into it, but for now, starting out with books that I've read like these, and then I can't straight away jump into something like this. I'm not meant for that right now. So let's get started with the storyline. So the story starts in an art studio. We have with us the main character, the protagonist, Dorian Gray, obviously. And along with him, we have two more characters who play a very important role. We have Lord Henry and Basil Hallward. These two characters are the supporting characters of Dorian Gray. And now what happens here is that Basil Hallward is basically an artist, and he's painting the portrait of Dorian Gray because he admires him very much, and yeah, that's why he would like to do that. And however, Dorian Gray is a very young, naive, and young man, and he doesn't understand the worth of his beauty. At least that's what Lord Henry thinks at that point. So basically, this person, Basil Hallward, is a very simple, sort of boring, but very straightforward and empathetic person in the story, who is a good influence for Dorian Gray. However, the other person, Lord Henry, is a very cynical and manipulative sort of person. He has very strong beliefs and sort of intellectual as well, and he can make you question your own beliefs by the explanations that he gives, and he has a very different point of view for the world, which is very different from the normal average human being right? So that is what this is about. So basically, this person, Lord Henry, tells Dorian Gray that he's actually very admirably beautiful, and he should be very proud of that fact, because being beautiful is rare, and it's obviously more important than being a good person or something like that. That is Lord Henry's explanation to Dorian Gray. And however, because Dorian is young and naive, he gets influenced by Lord Henry very easily, and he finds him fascinating. So these two, they spend more and more time together, and basically Dorian Gray kind of starts to imbibe these qualities from Lord Henry, that he tells him that because you're gorgeous, life is easier for you, it's better, you can have all the pleasures in life, and etc, etc. And now what happens basically over here is when Basil Hallward makes the picture of Dorian Gray, when Dorian Gray sees it, he actually realizes that he's gorgeous, and he in that moment wishes, it's more like a prayer that he says, that he wishes that the aging process that's going to happen to him will destroy his beauty over the time. So in that moment, he basically wishes that the whole aging process happens to the Dorian Gray inside the picture, and he remains that young, beautiful person that he is throughout his life, and nothing ever wrong happens to him, etc., etc. And he says that if that happens, he'll be like ready to barter his soul to the devil or something like that. It's like a joke, but what actually happens here, the story gets interesting from this point onwards, because after taking that picture home, Dorian Gray sees that that the picture slightly starts to change. Like every bad deed that he does, the picture starts to gain a sort of evil expression. It starts aging, and Dorian Gray stays the same that he looked like for years. Like 18 years after the picture was made, he was still looking the same that he was the day he was, sitting in the art studio. So, from that point on, basically, Dorian Gray starts getting more and more corrupt each day, and, his picture starts getting more and more hideous. It starts to wrinkle as it ages, plus it also gets that evil, sinister sort of look inside it, and it's just like unbearable to look at a point, right? So Dorian Gray basically hides it from the whole world. He doesn't let anyone see it because it's like a representation of his own soul at this point. And now it's like his little secret, and he has to keep it away from the world. And because of his boyish looks, his young features, he gets away with a lot of stuff that he does, and he becomes more and more like evil each and every passing day, right? His vanity leads him into that downfall that he gets into. So throughout this process is going on, throughout this whole time, basically Dorian Gray had the choice to choose between Basil Hallward and Lord Henry, as these are like two completely opposite characters who just happen to be friends somehow. And the fact that he chose Lord Henry's company over Basil Hallward just shows that this characteristic wasn't brought inside him by Lord Henry. He was just the one to awaken it, but it already existed. These things already existed in Dorian Gray, and that's like a wonderful thing to just like point out. So I had to do that. Dorian Gray becomes responsible for number of huge crimes. Like, we're talking about murders here, right? Basically, this gets to a point where he's afraid to even face himself. Like, he cannot face himself at this point anymore, and he wants redemption, but he thinks that he's too late for it. And what happens next is literally like the few ending pages of the book, and there's some important things that I missed out purposely so that I don't give out too many spoilers for you to not be able to read it, because I just give you a basic storyline, and what happens at the end is like really nice. Not nice, but it's really like fascinating for some reason. And yes, that was about it. That was the storyline, and I personally really enjoyed reading this. I started it out like pretty early, but I never finished it. I would just like read the first 30-40 pages, and I would just like it was a little slow at the beginning, so I didn't really know what was gonna happen. But once I got through that phase, I literally finished it in like one sitting only, and it was amazing. So that was it about the book. I hope you liked it. If you like the story, you can like just go and read the book, because there's a lot of important things that I missed out over here, so you can actually enjoy the book. If you have already read it, you can let me know your views in the comments down below. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and until next time, bye bye.